Just today, I realized that like one of the things that I want to share, of course, is my joy of reading. And sometimes it reminds me that whereas a lot of the reading that I might do might be either for fun, such as some novels, nonfiction works, I often forget that I also read books that have nothing to do with academic pursuits at all. And that those books also open up worlds to me. And definitely one book that captures a very prized place on my bookshelf is The Bread Baker's Apprentice by Peter Reinhardt. Um, my copy is actually falling apart, and so I don't have it to show you. But when I remembered, just a few days ago when I was making some bread, I have here a loaf of bread that I made. You can see the crust is darker than the inside, which is called the me. The me is the inside. The crust, of course, is the outside. We all know that the crust is the outside. And, and you can see that inside there's holes of varying size, making the bread very light and it had wonderful flavor. And as I was making this bread, I remembered all the things I learned from The Bread Baker's Apprentice. Um, The Bread Baker's Apprentice is a great coffee table book. It has beautiful pictures, lavish pictures. It has beautiful recipes, and it goes beyond just like a few recipes, like for a French baguette dough and for a pizza dough. Um, it has dough for lavash crackers rather, which is a kind of unleavened bread from the Levant region of the world. It has, of course, it has a pizza recipe. But before that, it begins with, let's say, a kind of like science of baking. It talks about how to knead dough. It talks about the kind of enzymatic and chemical reactions that happen uh, when you mix, let's say, a flour, a grain that has been ground down with water. Um, and it's fascinating. He talks about how you need time to develop the flavor profile of the bread. And it opens your eyes to the complexity in even one of our most ancient foodstuffs. And it's something that when you experience it at home, it's something unparalleled. Now, if you love bread, I can do no better than, of course, to recommend that you visit um, Baltazar's Bakery in New York City, um, which is, of course, a place that I love a great deal. Their baguette is phenomenal. Um, and I also must confess that I look forward to visiting Poilin, which is a bakery in Paris. And 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 well, anyway, so here is the dough that I used to make the bread that I made the other day. And one of the beautiful things about making bread um, is the smells associated with making bread. From the moment that you mix the water with the flour and you set those reactions in motion, the bread dough becomes a different entity. And depending on the path you pursue, on the timing and etc., the variations will determine the flavor profile of the bread, the way the dough will smell throughout different portions of the creation process, and of course, how the bread will taste at the end. And when you achieve like the weedy flavor of a well-made bread, uh, or the roasty, toasty, nutty notes that you find in the crust, it's a wonderful experience. This is the book, The Bread Baker's Apprentice, and like I said, like as much as I love reading literature and academic books or nonfiction books for the things I learned from them, I remembered, and I couldn't believe I hadn't shared this book, one of among several books that I like, that have to do with improving one's quality of life. You know, maybe you don't live in a city that has a great bakery, but if you follow the advice of this book and if you're conscientious, like, you can have tremendous results. You can have fantastic results. For example, the one, the two, the two breads that I made from this book that struck me as incredible were, number one, the miche, which is the one that the baker is holding in the picture in the Bread Baker's Apprentice. Um, that's number one. And the other one that I thought was absolutely phenomenal was a bread that he calls pan à l'ancienne. It's in the it's one of the recipes in the Bread Baker's Apprentice, and it is the easiest bread dough that you'll ever make. It's almost no work, and when you bake the loaves, you will be convinced that you bought the baguettes in a bakery. Um, it truly was um, an out of this world experience. And it was also eye opening because it demonstrated that, for example, I too um, could get those results at home. Um, sometimes you cannot duplicate um, what you can find at a bakery, what you can find at a restaurant. Maybe they have cooking devices you don't have at home. Um, Maybe they have specialized knowledge that you don't have at home. But the Bread Baker's Apprentice peels back the curtain for you and lets you learn how to make bread for real. And honestly, I think that for that alone, and of course, it's a great collection of recipes, pizza dough, pan à l'ancienne, the miche, and the various other recipes that it has, I cannot help but enthusiastically recommend it to you or anyone you know that loves bread. And if you want, you can use my QR code if you want to purchase it. Or, of course, you can purchase it wherever you buy great books. In any case, I wanted to share this great book find with all of you so that um, if any of you are gluten addicts like I am, uh, you can find the book that will help you satisfy that need for delicious bread. In any case, be well and see you later.